record. And I believe it's going now. Okay, thank you so much. And David, I'm handing it over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Judith. So you can see here our SAGE mission and vision to provide instruction and support to a diverse community of learners by tutoring, coaching, and teaching credit and non-credit courses. The non-credit courses would be on the adult basic education side. And if you have any questions about that, please let me know. I'm happy to give you a little bit more information. Primarily, since your IRW and math faculty will be talking about the credit side, or excuse me, the developmental education side. And we do have credit, no credit. We don't have letter grades in our courses. So they do count as credit, but not as a traditional letter grade. So the vision there, SAGE is a progressive learning community in which all students, staff, and faculty can succeed and become lifelong learners. And I can certainly say from a faculty standpoint, that's true. Faculty have lots of opportunity in SAGE to interact with the college as a whole and have real opportunity to engage and possibly make changes. As I pointed out earlier, both Judith and I have been faculty senate chairs, and so please take the opportunity to go to the faculty meetings with the full-time faculty and let us hear your voice. It's very important. Okay, next slide, go ahead.
I'm pushing it, but it's, let me, I'm sorry. So I'm just using my next.
Okay. I can see your cursor flying around.
Yes, because I was trying to see if I could, yeah, I think I pulled this up. Okay, perfect. I found a better way to do it. So.
Now this is a little hard to see in its present form, but this is our organizational structure in SAGE, and you can see that our dean is Luann Lundgren, and she's been dean for I think 7 or 8 years now. And we have a couple sides there. On my side of things, I'm the interim associate dean over the math and adult basic ed disciplines. Adult basic ed includes English as a second language, GED courses, which we now call high school equivalency courses. And on Judith's side, she oversees the integrated reading and writing, English for speakers of other languages, and first year experience courses. Andy Tibble is the faculty chair, as we mentioned before, and our full-time faculty are listed there for IRW. We have a few on the left, along with our ESOL and FYEX, and you'll notice that Andy's name is there as well. He's been a long-time first-year experience instructor, so he really gets around as far as curriculum and instruction goes. And on the right, you can see our math full-time faculty, ABE faculty, and more, and some of our staff. We'll talk about the staff a little bit later as needed. Go ahead, next slide. The CNM organization, if you click on either of these links, the top one will give you the overall org chart for CNM as a whole, and please feel free on your own time to take a look at that and ask us any questions if you have any questions about that. The second link is our strategic directions, and these change about every 4 years. The executive team comes up with a whole new set of strategic directions for the college based on how the board wants to take the college. And then from there, we have various committees and teams, and often, we have opportunities to join these teams and participate in these teams. So as you get your feet wet and feel good about your place in CNM, feel free to take a look at that and see how you can engage in one of our strategic directions. Okay, now I'll let you take the next few slides, Judith.
Oops, I was muted. Sorry. And so I know those links were not clickable on the Zoom sharing link, but they will be clickable once you get the PowerPoint. So you could engage with those links. We just wanted to make sure that you are aware of those resources. And so here, this is sort of a continuation of what we just spoke about, what David mentioned about the types of disciplines we have. And so notice that on this side, adult basic education, we have the formerly GED, now HiSET, and these are sometimes called GEMA, GELA, right? And then ESL. And so all of you present here are on this side. these are what we call developmental education courses, except for first year experience, which is actually a sort of introductory first year college course. So that is the one course in Sage that carries college credit, can count toward a degree, and will receive a letter grade. Okay, well, actually, ESOL courses can too in certain degree programs or certificate programs carry. Now, integrated reading, writing, IRW, and developmental math, which is the under the course number that's below 1,000. These are preparatory courses, so they will prepare students for college level courses. And math especially will prepare students for college level math courses, correct? Yes, and IRW is now, we used to have separate reading courses and separate writing, English writing courses. Since we integrated since 2016, these can also be as co-requisites with many humanities and other college level courses. So the 970, since we have 3 IRW instructors, I'll just very briefly launch into that. But this is something we can also follow up on if you have questions, that we have 2 levels of IRW. And the 2 levels are 970 and 980. And both of them have sometimes co-requisite courses. A lot of our 970 courses are co-requisites with some career technical courses, but often that is a prerequisite for getting into a college level course. Some 980 students can take as co-requisites, meaning simultaneously, they have to be enrolled in the same courses. Some first level or introductory gen ed courses such as Psychology 1105, Sociology, Anthropology. So we do get a lot of students in our 980 classes who are also simultaneously enrolled in some college level courses. So that's an important consideration for us to serve our students. And also, David, and chime in if you'd like to add some more with the math, but it's similarly, math has the 970 and 980. And why don't I let you talk briefly about developmental math here?
Sure. Yes, 970 and 980, and they feed directly into our college level courses. And we have done co-requisites in the past with intermediate algebra in our higher level course, Math 980. We're not doing that right now because the School of Math, Science, and Engineering wanted to try a different approach where they added some support to their introductory or their first math level. And so there's an extra credit hour built in there. The students will be able to get into that course if they can get into our Math 980 as well. So they're just trying a little bit different of approach. We're also trying a new thing called Math My Way, which is kind of a math emporium. In the fall, students will be able to come into a lab specifically dedicated for math students who are taking Math 970, Math 980, and the first 2 courses in the School of Math, Science, and Engineering. Those students will have the opportunity to take the course fully online or come to the lab as much as possible, as much as they'd like, in kind of more of a coaching environment than a lecture environment. So it's a real interesting new thing to try for us. That's kind of a fun thing. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, other than that, they're pretty standard. They feed right into the college level courses. Our Math 970 will feed into an intro course now in Math, Science, and Engineering, and Math 980 takes the traditional algebra track through calculus is what we would assume the students would do.
Yeah, thank you. And so we will talk a lot more about curriculum later today, but also as you're sort of getting used to working with Sage. And we do have pretty well developed curricula for all of these disciplines and all the courses. So you won't have to build it from scratch. We'll give you are welcome to change it and experiment with it. Of course, we do allow a fair amount of faculty freedom in terms of designing learning experiences, activities, assessments, but we also have pretty well designed courses and a lot of materials and course outlines and master syllabi and all kinds of support documents that will help you get started. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you're always welcome to experiment and expand. So you will be able to find a lot of support when you teach in Sage. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. this is the staff. So as I said, you will get this PowerPoint, and it's very easy to find us or get some help. So this is just a brief overview. Wanted to, Kelly is, she oversees a lot of the SAGE staff. She's the assistant to the dean and also supervisor at the West Side. Our dean, Luann Lundgren, who's not listed here, but she's obviously the head of the school. Her primary office is on the West Side. She's also West Side campus director. And so Kelly supports her in that role as well. Jessica is our payroll coordinator. It's very good to remember her name, and you can always look her up or get in touch with us if you don't remember her name, because if you have questions about your payroll or course compensation, specifically technical questions, not how many classes do I get, because David and I will help you about course scheduling. But in terms of actually your paycheck, your payroll, when you get it, what's on it, any errors, she's the one. So it's good to know who's the payroll person in case you see something wrong or you have some questions about the items on your paycheck. Nelson, he prefers to go by Nelson, also works out of the West Side primarily. He helps a lot with scheduling and doing other sort of facilities requests. And so if at any given time you're not sure whom to contact, you can always contact me or David, and we'll point you to the right person. These colleagues and staff members are primarily associated with adult basic education. And so since both of you are, all of you, not both of you, but all of you here are on the developmental side in terms of teaching either IRW or math, you will likely not have as much interaction with either Cisco, Margie, or Amy. But if you in the future, and this is an opportunity for you, if you at any given point would like to, and that is a process, and David, you might want to chime in here. Sometimes people come in and start teaching IRW, and they might find that not only they have a passion for ESL, but they have the qualifications. In other words, you might have a TESOL degree or endorsement maybe that you completed with your regular education degree, if that's the case. And so you may be able to teach either high school equivalency, language arts or math, right, or ESL. And so if you want to branch out, there's a process for that, and you could apply to be added to those disciplines, which sometimes our adjunct faculty do, because the more disciplines you can teach in, the greater the chances that you can get classes. If for some reason our enrollment tanks in one area, sometimes it picks up in another discipline. And so that may allow, it's diversifying your opportunities in some ways.
Yeah, thank you, Judith. I'd be very happy to hear if you'd like to teach any of the GED courses, please let me know, just to put that on my radar, and then we can talk in later times.
Okay, great. And so moving on to the next one, is this still, David and I agreed that we kind of cover about 3 slides to go a bit back and forth to make it a little more interesting. So I lost count if this is still my slide, but David, you're the math person. Just tell me when
whenever you feel like it. We'll just, because I wasn't counting either.
Okay, I'm going to cover this one and then I'll hand it over to you.
All
so
right, sounds great.
Now we do have a lot of bullet points. That's why I said I apologize. We're going to be like a lot of talking heads here with a bunch of bullet points. We don't want you to die. Death by PowerPoint is not a pretty sight. So, just remember, we're trying to give you a general overview, give you a sense of the information, but, you can always come back with questions and clarification. So this is actually an important slide because it does talk about faculty responsibilities. I believe I shared a handbook with you, which is kind of a lengthy document. Now, remember, that's a resource. You don't have to scrutinize everything. You just want to be aware of what's in it, and that's a great document to go to, but we're always here with if you have any questions. When we send the PowerPoint after this meeting, though, I will send you a file that's only about 1.5 pages. So it's not super hefty, but it's very important. It's part-time faculty expectations. And so you definitely want to check. We're not going to go through every point in that document, but that is something I will definitely want to follow up with you if you have questions. And that is something you will receive after we are done today via email. And you would want to look at that. Of course, this link is also very helpful. It's going to lead to all the faculty processes that we follow in academic affairs, and that includes every school, not just SAGE, right? So academic affairs is the academic division of CNM, and all of our schools belong there. As you could see here, we do, these are some of the basic expectations, but again, you're going to see that full document. We do value quality instruction in SAGE, and we are definitely a school that will hire for teaching experience. And so we want, because we take a very diverse student body, often it's their first class at CNM, often they need college prep courses to be able to move into a college level courses. So we pride ourselves on being very student focused, very much interested in good teaching and engaging students and supporting them so they can be successful at higher levels. So we do classroom observations. And so I'm just referencing that tool here. We also have an online course observation. In the future, you may move into online courses. We can talk about that later. But all these important things, communication with students, supporting students, maintaining office hours. There are some numbers here. We could clarify this. You have to have an office hour each week for each class you teach. That's ideally a recurring one, right? And then we do have shorter term classes. Our standard fall and spring term are 15 weeks, but we also offer many. We offer intersession courses in some disciplines. We offer 5 to 7, 8-week courses in some disciplines. So sometimes office hours or contact hours change if you teach a shorter term course, but we will definitely clarify this with you if you take one of those courses. And of course, just an important part of maintaining good student records, communicating with key people in SAGE, and following, if there are problems with student conduct, you will contact us and we'll be able to work through it. Sometimes we have to involve the dean of students, but thankfully it's actually pretty rare. But as faculty members, you will be definitely in charge of maintaining good records, maintaining good communication, and just upholding all the faculty roles that you have to do. I'm going to stop here. And if you have questions, this is a good time to ask, or David, if you want to add something here, that's a good time.
Yeah, thank you, Judith. Go ahead and go on to the next slide, but I'll pause for a moment if anybody has any questions.
Okay.
Okay. So continued faculty duties and responsibilities, kind of the normal stuff you would expect, records, data. We have something called final measures reports. And what that is it's a simple form that you fill out at the end of the term. And so you're going to want to, keep good records on your students' final grades, for example, and other things, which we'll get a little bit more detailed in after you come on and start teaching your first classes. But you'll just keep an eye out for that towards the end of the semester term, that is, to make sure that you're filling out those reports as we move along. They're super helpful in helping the school understand what's working and what's not working and how we should change our curriculum. Okay, if you're teaching an ABE, which none of you are for now, but attendance reporting, progress testing, things like that are very critical because we're funded by the state and the federal government. And so we have a lot of regulations that kind of go in with that. They're simple, but things that need to be done. A complete list of part-time faculty expectations can be found at that link, which you can look at later. And as Judith pointed out, please go through those and just make sure that you know that you're meeting every piece of that and checking the box on every part of that, at least to get going and start. Now, that said, I don't want you to worry too much just getting into your first classes. I mean, we understand that it's going to take a while getting used to the environment and learning. So really our focus once our focus for you is to focus on teaching. We just want you to be good teachers and focus on the students. All the other things will come as they come, so don't worry too much about that. There's also the part-time collective bargaining agreement, which you'll want to at least take a look at if you haven't reviewed before. We have a collective bargaining agreement between the part-time faculty and the college, and also between the full-time faculty and the college, and you may be interested in taking a look at both of those as it relates to your workload and requirements. And truly, it's the collective bargaining agreement that governs your whole relationship with the college. We have an employee handbook as well to help you, but the governing document for you is the collective bargaining agreement. Go ahead and go on to the next slide, please. C&M faculty are compensated on a per credit hour system, and that is listed in detail at the link there. So you would be tier 1 and classified as lecturer, and you can just go to that directly to see what your compensation should be. And that might be a good idea, just in case in your first couple paychecks you feel like there's an issue and you need to reach out to Jessica Bennett. She can give you the details and let you know if there's any problem there. Go ahead on to the next slide. Okay, and some of our faculty resources are located in Sage Community, which is located at mycourses.cnm.edu. It's the Brightspace environment, D2L Brightspace. We just call it Sage Community. It kind of looks like a course environment, which you'll notice when you teach online courses or use a Brightspace course shell for your face-to-face courses to enhance the course. It'll look like what you see in Sage Community. And it would be really good for you to log into Sage Community as soon as you can. Just go to that location there and use your regular CNM credentials that you just got, your username and password, and take a look, see what it looks like, and see what's available there. We house a lot of curricular materials there, as well as some reminders about the final measures, and scheduling and things like that. And your syllabi upload folders, all of that will be linked within Sage Community. Okay, we've already introduced our chair, Andy Tibble. We also have mentors, and in the first term you teach, you'll be assigned a faculty mentor. And we have a couple of full-time faculty that are looking over the mentoring process. And we're happy to plug you into having a mentor and have somebody go over all the little nitty-gritty details that you need to know as you go along. Plus, the mentor is great just to ask, a myriad of questions, and they can help answer most of them, I'm sure. We also have discipline coordinators. So for math, our discipline coordinators are Alex Cisneros and Evretta Mora, and we have various discipline coordinators as we go through the disciplines, and you'll want to know who they are and connect with them so that if you have any questions on curriculum, they're a great go-to person or people, so you can get what you need as far as the master syllabi goes, what needs to be in the syllabus, what you need to do your first week, and that kind of thing. We have professional development opportunities, and several of them are through the Cooperative for Teaching and Learning, headed by Erica Reed. And you can let me know if Erica's here, Judith, if she wants to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, David, we're just going to mention it briefly, but Erica is joining us at 6. And so we'll give her 5 minutes then, because it will be fun to hear her mention some of those. But keep in mind that we do have pretty extensive opportunities, and Erica will be joining us to talk about that.
Okay, great. So we'll come back to that then a little bit later. Please join us at our Sage School meetings. You can be compensated for that if you join us, specifically at the Sage School meetings, and they're good for general information from Sage. They're also good for meeting with the full-time faculty, usually after the Sage School meetings, on curriculum development. Online teaching certification. So this is kind of an important piece. If you're interested in teaching online, which I'll just throw it out there, everybody should be interested in teaching online. It's just the way things have shifted, obviously, in the pandemic environment, but I think we're starting to see permanent shifts. We're not moving entirely online. We love our face-to-face environment, and we're going to continue to engage in that environment. But for all of us, getting better at teaching online and doing it well is critical. And CNM has a lot of online courses. I want to say over 1,000. Does that sound right, Judith?
Yeah, and during the pandemic, our school went completely online, even for adult basic ed courses. So yeah, we used to have about 40% of our courses online, but now we were at, in 2021 in spring, we were almost 100%. We had very, very few, except where they absolutely had to have that lab component or like truck driving, they couldn't do it online. But, most everything else, our lecture courses were all online.
Yeah. So you'll be hearing more about online certification because there are requirements, some training requirements, so that you can use our Brightspace course shells and have an idea of how to navigate the environment, but also how to teach in the environment. So more detail in that will be coming. Stay tuned, keep your eyes open as you begin teaching for us. Okay, and then we also have listed the Adult Basic Ed program web pages. Please take a look at that as you please. Go ahead and go on to the next slide there, Judith.
Great, I will do that. And the only other thing I'm going to mention that during the question portion, I don't want to exit this presentation now because I don't want to lose the momentum we have, but at the very end, I'll show you very easily how to log into my courses from the CNM website. So you don't even have to remember that. You could just go to cnm.edu and there's CNM Brightspace right on the top. It will be an easy login. And I'll probably show a bit about my CNM at that time, at the end. But that way it will be easier for you. And then we can send some resources your way to help you with Brightspace. Okay.
Okay, and communications, email. We communicate a lot through email. Please pay attention to your CNM email. We don't really prefer to use other email systems, so please look for anything official from us, to us and from us through the CNM email. We do have physical mailboxes, although we have a lot of spaces under construction right now. So for example, if you're at main campus, you're gonna need to connect with the duplicating and postal office, DPC. What's the C for? Is it center?
Yeah, center.
Duplicating and
Postal center.
Okay, great. We'll give you more information about that if you need to use your faculty mailbox. Also, we will connect you into a cubicle space, either in the Max Salazar building or the Smith Brasher building. If you're on main campus, if you're at Westside campus, then we'll find another space for you there. And as Judith mentioned before, our dean is the director of the Westside campus. So if that's going to be your home space, then we can work that out for you. And I think by and large, that will be your choice. So if you want your main area to be in Max Salazar, or I'm sorry, on main campus, then please let us know. Or if you prefer to be on West Side campus as your main kind of place to do work because you live closer to West Side, then let us know and we'll work it out either way. Phones and voicemail, everybody will get their own extension, and that stays with you as you go from office to office or here to there at CNM. The phones are connected to our email system. So if you get a voicemail, it'll go straight to your email system and you can hear your message there. Of course, you can use any of our phones. We use 5-digit extensions to contact anybody within the school. Newsletters, I don't know where we're at on this actually. Judith ran the Sage e-newsletter for a long time. And we also have CNM NewsLink, which is just something that will come out on a regular basis from our marketing and communications office into your CNM email. They often have important things listed. So sometimes it's tempting just to skip past the news link, but I would say read it through. There's some important information in there. Do you want to say anything about the e-newsletter, Judith?
Yeah, I've done it for 10 years and the last year it was a little bit challenging but I'd like to resurrect it this summer and bring it to the ILT and maybe get some collaborations. So there is more, so there are more voices in sort of shaping what's in it. The biggest thing on my radar right now is we had quite a number of faculty, a number of colleagues who retired. So I'm sort of writing some retirement pieces. But I'd like to resurrect it this summer because it has been a good source of information and there's lots of exciting things happening around Sage. We used to have lots of articles about, different people and the projects they were working on. And so we're going to have real time online and attend anywhere. And my math lab, right? Or My Way
Yep.
Math. I forgot what's the name,
Math
but
my
so
way.
Math My Way. I did it my way. So yeah, it'll be fun to cover those and have some pieces on that. So I'd like to resurrect the newsletter, but during COVID, it went underground.
Okay. So meetings, discipline meetings, you are not required typically to go to the discipline meetings, but if you are required to go to any meeting, then you can be compensated for that. You can also be compensated if you decide to become a faculty senator on the part-time side of things and go to their meetings. And if you're interested in any of that, please let me know. So Sage Community, Judith again will show you that in Brightspace. If you need any technical help, the ITS service desk is just excellent. You can give them a call or send them an email. Immediately it opens a ticket with our technical services and they're prompt. They'll get back to you or redirect you in any way necessary, but they're really wonderful. And if you have any technical issues with anything, please let them know. Peer mentoring, we have a mentoring process in Sage. And as I said before, we will connect you with a faculty mentor. Is there anything I'm missing on that, Judith? Is there a different peer mentoring process?
No, but Erica might talk about peer coaching, which is a
Right.
bit different. But within Sage, we have the peer mentoring. And I think that everybody here will be looped in to have a peer mentor for the first term so that you can get that personalized support as you're teaching your first term.
Mhm.
And I see that Erica joined us. So I was going to quickly check what's our next slide. There's a bit of a repetition here, so maybe we'll briefly talk about this, and then we'll allow Erica to speak, because I think after this we're going to sort of shift gears to resources. So
Sounds great.
yeah,
I'm a little early. I thought you might be ahead of schedule, or I just thought if you could squeeze me in. So.
No,
Well,
that's actually, if you're ready, we just spoke right before you logged in. We said Erica is coming at 6. We're going to talk more about CTL. This is a bit of a repetition. I want to talk a little bit about MyCNM. So maybe this is a good time to give you the floor, welcome you, and then we'll continue with this.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm really happy to see everyone here, new faces, and my colleagues too. So I'm Erica Reed. I've been a faculty member in Sage since 2006. But recently I've been serving as the faculty development coordinator for CNM's Cooperative for Teaching and Learning. So we have a faculty-led organization of faculty and staff that plan and implement faculty development across the college. And I want to be really careful about just like totally overwhelming you with resources. So I will just tell you that when you get an email from ctl@cnm.edu, then that's one that you want to pay attention to as well. I know that I heard David mention the importance of Newslink, and I do recommend that you read Newslink every week, because there's so much there you can learn about what's going on at the college, and you'll feel a lot more connected to the different divisions around the college. So I want to let you know about some opportunities for part-time faculty to engage in faculty development each term, along with getting compensated for attending any discipline or school meetings like David mentioned. You can also get compensated for attending professional development. So we have 2 big events that we do every year. We have Faculty Focus Day in August, and we have our Conference on Teaching and Learning in January. So again, emails from ctl.edu will have information about those. And we also do things kind of like during the semester. So coming up in June and July, we're running a series of workshops, our summer workshops, teaching and learning workshop series. And because of a special grant from CARES 2.0, we are able to compensate part-time faculty to attend those sessions in addition to your regular 10 hours. So I just need to clarify, have all of you started already teaching this summer, or is this for the fall? You're all starting in the fall.
This is for the fall. They're
Okay.
being onboarded. Yes.
Okay, well, so forget about the summer stuff. But I will tell you that starting in August, you'll be getting, as new part-time faculty, you'll be getting information about our new Faculty Institute. That's a year-long onboarding that we do for faculty to help you learn about C&M culture and kind of the teaching environment and expectations, and learn about student resources and again, you can be it's not required for part-time faculty. It is mandatory for full-time faculty, but part-time faculty are compensated for participating in those. So right around the beginning to middle of August, you'll be getting an email from me personally inviting you to participate in New Faculty Institute. And so it's a really great opportunity to get connected with your colleagues, learn about, a lot of different areas of the college. And so you can be looking for that. And again, Faculty Focus Day will be a full day of faculty development on August 26th, the Thursday before the term starts. And again, that's not required, but you're invited to attend and encouraged to attend that. And Judith is showing our webpage. So we, in addition to our workshops, we run faculty learning circles. We do a peer coaching that's totally confidential and non-evaluative. It's just to support your, your work in the classroom. And so you'll, as time goes by, you'll be learning more and more about the resources and the different events and stuff that we offer. So this was really just designed to be kind of a heads up, like we exist and this is who we are when you start seeing information. Any questions or any important thing I left out for my colleagues?
The only thing I wanted to mention is that if you just go to the CNM website where I was showing that one and type in CTL, stands for Cooperative for Teaching and Learning, CTL, you'll just find the website. And so if you have time, you're interested, you can also poke around. And a Faculty Focus Day 2021 is not here yet, but it's coming, right?
Yeah. There is something, Judith, if you scroll down a little bit to where the new faculty support link there on the, yeah, that's good.
Click on that.
Yeah.
I may have to share it again. Can you see it or did it change?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay.
So there is a resource, New Faculty Guidebook. This is last year's, but this gets updated every year. But this is kind of a one-stop shop for where you can find a lot of information that you'll need. It's the very top resource there, the New Faculty Guidebook. So, and we'll also be just sending that to you as a PDF because because you're not, there's so much information and you're not expected to learn it all right away. It's a good resource. So, all right. That's my introduction. So that's all I have. So thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Erica, for joining us.
Yeah.
And you will be hearing a lot more from Erica. And if you join the New Faculty Institute, which is what Erica mentioned, it's not required, but recommended, or you're encouraged to do it if you can, right? And
Yeah.
so then you will hear more and see more about it, and you'll be able to network with other faculty who are beginning their teaching at CNM. So that's an awesome resource.
All right. Well, nice to meet everybody. See you around. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Erica.
Thanks so much, Erica. Bye. So we had one thing left on that slide about My CNM, and I'm actually glad we came here because My CNM is what we also call Banner. And I will just briefly show you where it is, but we won't have time to start looking at everything there. But basically, My CNM is where all the enrollment services, student registration data, grades, at the end of the term, we submit. And so Web for Faculty, I'm glad they also have a video here. Some of this will be great resource for you when you start learning, how do I check where my class, my enrollment for my classes, your student list, the actual records and registration for your classes. That's all in My CNM. And so I'm going to go, and so remember that we went from the regular CNM website, right? we typed in CTL here to find the CTL website. But since we're here, I might as well point out that notice this is my CNM. So actually, if you could just come to the CNM website, you could check your email right here. You have to log in with your credentials. You can check. My CNM is more relevant once you actually have a course assigned to you, because that's where you could see your students, your enrollment. That's where you will enter grades at the end of the course. And so it does have a lot of different features, but a lot of you taught at other colleges, and everybody has some type of a record keeping system. So it's a very comparable system. And then this is our learning management system, where our courses and course materials are CNM Brightspace. And so I mentioned that I will show this at the end, and if we have time at the end, I will click on it and show you some more. But I just wanted to show you where these relevant links are right on the CNM homepage. And then another easy way to find is basically type in CTL, and you will find where we were. And so you click on the CTL website, and remember, you want to go to new faculty support. And that's where you'll find very specific documents specifically created for new faculty. And so this is where you'll find. And Web for Faculty is all about my CNM. Okay, so this guide here, Office Hours Gradebook and all those things are helping you understand what you're doing here as a faculty member. But as David said, there is a lot to take in during your first term. And so take it, just go with the flow week by week, because we'll have support for you. We'll tell you what to do in the first week and the second week. And so you don't have to know everything in week one, because you won't be able to necessarily take it in, but just an overview of the resources for you to have a sense of where things are. But if it all becomes one big, I kind of remember, but not sure where it is, just send us an email. And we'll always point you in the right direction. So I'm going to stop sharing here so I can go back to the PowerPoint. And I will also stop here for any follow-up questions, or David, if you want to add something while I'm pulling up the PowerPoint.
The only thing I would add is I think you'll find that CNM is a very caring environment. Everybody's willing to help all the time. And so don't hesitate to reach out to anybody with a question. And we all try to redirect each other in the right way if it's somebody else that needs to answer the question. But just feel free to reach out when you need something.
Thank you. So we were right here. And basically, this is we already talked about Sage Community, and we mentioned that this is where all your curriculum resources are. So once you log into Sage Community, you're going to see every discipline separately, master syllabi, course outlines. So Sage Community is all about specific curriculum and discipline resources, from meeting minutes from disciplines to course outlines, master syllabi, and everything in between. A lot of discipline and curriculum resources right here. Now, my CNM within the CNM system is student records, registration, grades, and that, right? So this is all about instructional materials, including courses that we teach online or in hybrid format. And this is where records, my CNM is where student records go, from grades to registration. And so we won't spend more time on this, just wanted you to be aware of these systems, learning management system with all the course materials, curriculum, and then my CNM is student records and data. And so I'm going to go to the next slide and pause briefly to see if there are any questions as of now. This is just a compilation of resources. As you could see, some of the more, all these are important for you, but many of these will show up in our master syllabi in every discipline. We'll share with students. These are important resources for students. As you could see, we have academic coaches. Each school has sometimes they're called achievement coaches. Each school has at least one achievement coach. We also have general academic coaches through CNM Connect. This is specifically geared to serving students, supporting students, helping them with advisement, choosing classes, choosing majors, figuring out what they have to do once they choose a major. And so they work with students directly. Once you see this PowerPoint, you'll be able to go to these different websites. ACE is our learning center, tutoring center. That's where all the tutors are. They do a number of different things for our students. They can also help with online learning, generally handling technology, and of course, discipline-based tutoring. We have a resource center for veterans. We have our Disability Resource Center that works with all kinds of resources for students who need them, or students who have learning disabilities. Of course, CNM Libraries and Assessment Center is our testing center for testing and placement. And so these are all available to you. They're all on the CNM website. Okay, let me stop here. David, do you want to take this slide? And
Sure.
we'll start talking up. So now we're going to shift gears a bit from all the resources. Now we're going to talk about part-time faculty expectations and reviews.
Yeah, so we mentioned earlier that there are a list of part-time faculty expectations, which you'll review along the way at some point. And when we do our classroom observations and evaluate you as a whole person, then those expectations come into play. Who evaluates you? I would as an associate dean, and so would Judith. So the associate deans are your direct supervisors, and the ones that are over your disciplines are the ones that do the evaluations. We may or may not do the classroom observations. The faculty chair may help with that from time to time. And all three of us kind of rotate around doing the class observations. We do try to get to class observations as much as possible. And I would encourage you as a professional faculty body to feel free to reach out to your colleagues to try to see if you can have an observation with them, or they can with you, just for some professional development along the way. And in addition to this, we do part-time faculty reviews once every 3 years, where it's a more holistic review and not just a classroom observation. It is based on those expectations that we've mentioned a couple times. In that review, you'll have a goal-setting process where you can just try to develop yourself. You know, maybe you want to increase a certain retention rate or pass rate or something like that, or implement a new piece of curriculum. You'll, officially write down that goal and then reflect on it the next time we meet to talk about it. It is a very, in my opinion, a very professional development geared review process. And that's really what we're looking for, is just to try to improve your instruction and improve the student's experience. So I would like you to look at it that way also. The documentation is found at that link there, which you're free to peruse at your own leisure, and let me know if you have any questions. Would you like to add anything to that, Judith?
The only thing that I wanted to echo what you said about, this is all very much geared toward faculty developing. And what I like about, and Erica is, you're going to hear more about the opportunities for professional development, is because CNM really values self-directed professional development. In other words, faculty have a fair amount of freedom in saying, I'm really interested in growing in this area. So I'm going to set a goal to try this new strategy, or teach it this method, or, do something that I'm interested about professionally, to take my teaching to the next level. Or we also very much value any kind of action research project in the classroom where you want to try out a strategy and do a bit of a documentation, collect some evidence, figure out how that works. You can go and present that at a CTL conference. That's completely for faculty by faculty. Again, reflective practice is very much encouraged. That's one of the lenses that we value, you reflecting on your own teaching and setting up some goals and opportunities for improvement based on what you notice, based on some student data, based on your interactions with students. And so, there are lots of opportunities for that in all the disciplines. And I know that goes beyond the expectations. So of course, we primarily expect you to teach and teach well and support students, but we also encourage you to get engaged with the disciplines. That's why David mentioned that it's not required that you attend discipline meetings, but it's certainly encouraged. And if you could attend at least one per semester, I think that would be very valuable, right, Andy? I mean, I think it's very helpful when faculty are able to listen in on those conversations. If we make curriculum revisions, if we're making changes to assessments, it's helpful to know why and how that came to be. So if you can attend any of those meetings, that's helpful. We also understand that as adjunct faculty, you may not be able to attend everything, but we encourage you to attend at least one stage school meeting, which we usually have one per term, sometimes twice. Fall may be busy enough to do two, right? But definitely encourage you to attend the school meeting and at least one discipline meeting per term.
Okay, yeah, let's go to the next slide.
Okay, how are we doing with time?
I might just add that I think we've had more participation from part-time faculty in those kind of meetings since we've gone to remote meeting formats. It's been really, I think it's been really nice. It sort of took away that, oh, I don't really want to drive to campus for this meeting, but I don't mind logging in for half an hour to talk with people about curriculum development. So, so that's been really positive, I think.
I think so too. And I think, Andy, we already mentioned that we'll want to give discipline meetings in a virtual format because that's right. I mean, you don't want to drive an hour to attend a 45-minute meeting and an hour back home, right? I mean, it's just not always sustainable. But if you could log in from home and see and hear the conversation, I think that's awesome. So we'll definitely continue, especially for discipline meetings, right? Trying to keep the virtual format. It's been more successful. And so
this this slide here, thank you for that addition, Andy. This slide here is more getting into the processes. So we do have an assignment process that occurs every term. And as you can see here, between the second and fifth week of the term, the associate deans will send out a request for you to fill out a preference form. Right now, it's just a simple Microsoft form. You fill it out and you hit the submit button, and then we can see what your preferences are for the following term. And that really helps us understand where we need folks and where you want to teach and how many courses you want to teach and that kind of thing. So that's pretty critical as part of your process. Make sure that you're looking out for those and filling out those preference forms as they come along. Okay. I don't think I missed anything
and I
here.
think Julie and Jerry already submitted that.
Oh,
Erin,
great.
yeah. And so, and remember, this is for fall. So right now we're making the assignments for fall. And I don't know, Erin, if you had a chance to see that. If not, I can make sure that you see that form in the email again.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that yet.
Okay, it is due on the 11th. So after we finish today, I'll forward you the email again so you can look at it. It's due on Friday, so you have enough time. If you run into problems, you also have enough time to get in touch with me if for some reason. But I think everybody else here completed that, so that's great.
Okay. Yeah, we apologize for the timing on that. It wasn't the greatest with this process. Okay, let's go ahead to the next slide. Okay. Wow. Here's a slide on leave. If you need any leave, I would say first connect with your faculty mentor, but also ask the associate deans any questions you might have about leave. The important piece here on the center of this slide is that you contact somebody if you're going to be missing a class. So we would prefer that you find somebody else to sub for your course rather than just cancel the class at the time. Try to do that. Feel free to reach out to the other folks on the listserv in your discipline to try to get somebody to do a sub. Full-time faculty can also sub for you, so feel free to just reach out to everyone. But if it's a physical class meeting face-to-face, then we also want to inform the students, and there are some contact information here on that. The one that is incorrect right now or that we're not sure about is the one highlighted, and that's because the Casey building is currently under renovation. So we'll have to update you on the main campus situation. The other contacts are correct as far as we know. Also, feel free if you're teaching night class or or if you just need somebody to put a note on a door, security will also help you do that. So we've listed a number there for you if you need that for before 8 or after 5.
And
Go
and
ahead.
for fall, definitely we will only have classes on Main, Montoya, or West Side, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm sure in the future we'll go back to the South Valley and Rio Rancho. At this point, we'll have West Side, Main, and Montoya. And so because, especially in the fall, I think it would be helpful for you to reach out to us, Associate Deans, if you have to
Yeah.
think, and then we could show you where to find a listserv, to reach out for a sub and all that, which right now may seem a little bit murky. You're not sure how that goes, but we'll definitely walk you through that. And then if there is no sub found, then the class will be canceled. And of course, if you have an emergency, obviously you cannot plan for those in advance. So when you have an emergency, like same day, like you realize 7 o'clock in the morning that you can't teach your 10 o'clock class, then you just have to submit the class cancellation and ask one of the office staff on the right campus to post the cancellation notice.
And if even that's too much, just feel free to call that number right at the top for the Sage main office and let Kelly Schnappel will likely answer the phone.
Right here.
Just let them know what's going on and we can take care of the rest.
And that's very important because we don't want students to go to the class and not know that it was canceled. So that's really critical. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one.
Yeah. Okay, so this is just kind of a list of getting ready for your first day of class. I'm just going to leave this here for you to read later. I don't think I need to go through this in detail. Some of the obvious things are there, like have your syllabus ready, make sure that you're ready to distribute it to the students, whether it's online and in a course shell or whether you have it printed out. And I can tell you every term on the first day, the printers are running hot. So get it printed before the first day of the class and you'll be ahead of the schedule there. If you have any questions about any of those first day things, first week things, please reach out to Andy and he can help you with the process. You should be receiving emails also on the process. So there's plenty of information going around about that. Did you want to add anything to that, Andy, or is that sufficient?
That's probably sufficient because it gets to be kind of overload. I think what we did here is just, if I said anything to the new folks is that I expect to get a lot of questions the first week or two, or even going up to the first week. So having my email and phone number is probably the best thing, and I'm happy to kind of answer questions as much as possible. I actually prefer that. It always kind of worries me when people don't ask any questions at all. I'd much rather sort of be in contact with people. So, okay.
And based on our scheduling timeline, you will know by the end of the summer term is August 9th. And so by then you will not only know if you got courses assigned to you, but you will even have to acknowledge or accept them for fall. Am I right, David? I have to, I know I emailed out the timeline. And so, but I'll forward that again to Erin. And if you are curious about that, you can go back to, I'm pretty sure I sent something June 2nd. But if for some reason you can't find it, just drop me a note and I'll forward it to you again. But it does have the timeline. So before the summer term ends, you will know if courses are assigned to you. I do have to mention that here. It's a little bit non sequitur because we're talking first week, but it is important to know that our enrollment fluctuates a great deal. So it is possible that you get a class assigned to you that won't make it. And so, course assignments do depend on enrollment. And sometimes if the enrollment is low, we have to cancel classes and then pull them together. If we have 2 classes with 5 students each, we'll have to cancel one and allow one to make it at 10 or 12. We do like to have at least 50% enrollment. Since you're teaching in math and IRW, this is a good time to mention that class caps are 22 for IRW, 25 for math, correct?
That's correct.
Correct. And so we're looking at least 50% enrollment So that means that if you have an IRW class and it's under 10, it's unlikely to make it unless we can somehow boost enrollment. Or if it's the very last class and everything else is full, that's the only class, we might run it with under 10 or maybe with 10 people, right? So there are a lot of different considerations, but enrollment is a big one. And so we're doing our best to schedule courses based on your preferences or give you course assignments. Let me put it that way, based on your preferences, campus and time and all the things that you put on the form but please be aware that SAGE students schedule or enroll into classes pretty close to the beginning of the term. So you may not see until actually a week before fall term begins if your classes are making it or not. And I know that could be nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It's sort of a difficult part, but it does happen that 3 days before classes begin, the Friday before classes begin, your class may get canceled for low enrollment. We've seen that, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, Judith, I just want to say that the opposite is true as well. So please, please be flexible because we have late start courses as well. And if we see that students are enrolling rapidly, we want to add a course, and we'll probably ask our scheduler to reach out to you without us reaching out to you first, because we're trying to move rapidly and get folks assigned to courses. So, try to be flexible with that as well and be ready to teach a course when you get the call.
Yeah.
As much as possible within reason. Okay, go ahead, Judith. I'll let you.
Thank you. So I was just quickly checking. We're getting pretty close to the end. I know this is a long time, but I thought that since we're almost, and we probably won't take a break, I would rather just sort of go through it, if that's okay. I know we sat here for a long time. Is that okay? Yeah, because chances are good we'll be able to finish early, pending your questions. So at this point, we'll just briefly talk about mandatory training. I tell you that this is something that I probably will touch base with you again when the fall term begins, and just let you know, but you could also go into cnm.edu and under my CNM, there's something called talent management. Is that, I'm wondering if there's something on my end. I heard a bit of a background noise.
Yeah, I think that was Jerry, but he muted himself.
That's good. Okay, perfect. I wasn't sure because I also have children and sometimes they barge into the room and there's always stuff happening. So anyway, something called talent management, and you could follow this, or I can show you if you need to. You don't have to do anything in the summer, but there will be assigned training. We have to do sexual harassment every year. I know the one for this year is due by December. So you will be hearing from us in the fall. I don't think we're going to make much noise in the summer, but when fall term begins, we'll be reaching out to people who have to complete the yearly training. So you will be doing that. Yeah, so FERPA regulations and sexual harassment training are yearly. And so when we show you where to see a lot of this, again, it's in my CNM under employee tab in talent management, and we'll be able to point you in the right direction. I don't anticipate this until the fall, but you're welcome to poke around if you'd like to log in and check to see what's available. Okay. And we talked about emergency procedures. The biggest thing is obviously your first duty is to teach classes and support students. So the first thing is, if for whatever reason you cannot teach your class, as soon as you know it, you have to notify SAGE office, and you'll have to fill out leave request. I think that under these procedures, you'll find some more information about that. And again, this is one of those areas where if you're not sure, just reach out to us and we'll be able to help you with your specific situation.
And this covers everything, Judith, too. These emergency procedures here, they cover earthquakes, tornadoes, etc. So all the emergency procedures, please at least scan them through right there. Active shooter situations, and mostly what happens at CNM is somebody might be littering, but just to say all these procedures are there for you if you need it, and you should at least review it one time. I would recommend getting the CNM security phone number on your phone, as they can help out with a lot of things, not just, issues. They can open doors for you and help direct you. So I'd encourage you to put that on your speed dial, just for almost as a service more than anything else.
That's a really good point. And, it doesn't happen very often. I don't think we really had any major security threats in terms of physical, but it could happen, and especially as we anticipate having a more growing in-person presence and at CNM in the fall, and probably growing even more for spring. It's definitely good to be prepared and know how to call security for various reasons. So, yep, I have it saved on my phone. So that's a good idea. Let me quickly check the next slide, and we could come back to this if you have questions. So this is pretty much sort of end of the training, end of the orientation. We'll stay here for questions, but I do want to emphasize that this is actually a required training, and HR needs to see that we both sign off. And so if you're a math faculty member, you and David will have to fill out the form and both sign for it. Those of you who teach with in IRW, I will be sending you a link, and that you will have to acknowledge that you received this information, that you participated in the orientation. And so we would like you to sign this by Friday. If you could do it tonight, that's great. I will follow up with an email after our meeting tonight. That doesn't mean you have to do it tonight, but please do it by Friday. And so it also helpful for you to do it by Friday, so that if for some reason something's not working on the form, you can email back and we could figure that out.
And you may have already received it.
HR may have sent it to you. I've seen copies. That's right. I also have a link, but I have not seen what you received. You may have already received something from HR. This is the end of our big spiel. And so this is a good time for questions.
Thank you so much for hanging in there with us. I imagine you may have some kind of logistical questions about how to get going, but maybe not. Maybe this was thorough enough.
Or it was just so much stuff there.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out, oh, I have so many questions, which one to ask first?
Yeah, I don't feel, I don't have any burning questions right now, so much as just a lot of things that I have to go explore and check out and find my way around.
Mhm.
And we're going to send the PowerPoint out to everyone, right?
Yep.
Following the meeting. So, and we checked all the links on it when David and I went through it. So you should just be able to go right to various areas of the CNM website. So I know a lot of this makes more sense when you're actually doing it. You've been assigned a class and you need to get in and do the things, that you need to do. And I think sometimes it's just at that moment where you're like, well, how do I get my class roster, or what, what's the kind of process for doing these things? It can be really helpful to set up a little Zoom meeting with someone if it's not clear to you how to work that particular part of the website. We've really got 3, I'm counting correctly, but when we have the sort of MyCNM thing, which is where the registration and class rosters and all of that kind of exists. And then we have Brightspace, which is our learning management system, which you could probably expect to be using regardless of whether you're teaching online or in the classroom these days. And then of course the CNM main website. So
We're super happy to have you on board.
Yes. And so again, I'm just showing the CNM website, kind of reminding you that this is a quick way to get into email. If you want to check your CNM email, if you have Outlook or you wish to use that, that's of course great. You could configure that. This will open up as a web Outlook type program. Also, do remember, I know you're probably going to be on your home devices throughout the summer, that we do offer free MS Office package for all faculty. So you could download the whole Microsoft Office suite as a faculty member for free, which includes all the different, if you're wondering how to do that, type in MS Office into the search bar here. It will get, students also get it for free. And so that's a good resource for everyone.
Judith and I also teach as part-time faculty for other schools. So we know what's going on there, and we feel it from that side as well.
Yes. And as
Okay.
Andy mentioned, oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just saying, I think maybe we're okay here and folks are ready for a bite to eat and time with the family.
Yeah, but absolutely. Please reach out anytime via email, and I will follow up in about 10 minutes with the PowerPoint and some other resources, but always reach out. I will copy David and Andy as well, so you have everybody's email if you just need to contact David or Andy or anybody. So
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you three so much. This is really helpful.
thank you. Thanks for joining us. And
you.
please keep in touch.
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be talking soon. Yeah.
Alrighty. I think that's it. We'll see you around the campfire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a great evening, everyone.
Bye,
thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I was just waiting I didn't want to end it before I was
You can stop the
allowing people
recording here
to,
probably.
oh yeah, I need to stop recording. Very good. Well, I think we're done unless you
Yeah.
want to debrief. Let me stop recording.